Well, happy Before the Four, everyone. It is digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, where I talk about 48's top stories before our evening newscast. We do a live stream on Facebook Live, we do one on YouTube Live, and we do one on the 48 app. Just go to that live stream page and you can find it. And for anyone who is new to Before the Four, I want to welcome you. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for spending a little bit of your Wednesday afternoon with me. And of course, anyone who's returning to Before the Four, thank you so much for watching and just spending a little bit of your afternoon with me. We have some stories to get into. So with that said, I think it is time we jump in to some of our top stories. And starting things off, authorities in Grant are searching for what they call wolf dog hybrids after a dog was attacked in the community. Now, deputies say the attack happened this morning. Since the attack, 4 wolf dogs have been placed back in their cages, but they are still looking for 3 more. Neighbors in the community say this isn't the first time an attack like this has happened, and they are afraid it might be a human that is attacked next. Fortunately, the dog that was attacked is still alive, but the extent of the injuries is unknown at this time. If you see any of these wolf dogs on the loose near the Grant area, please contact the Marshall County Sheriff's Office. And 48's Daquan Lee has been speaking with people working to learn more about these wolf dogs on the loose. And we will have some updates for you all on this story coming up in just a little while. And then following up on that absolutely devastating story that happened in Florence this past weekend, 48's Aria Pond spoke with the Lauderdale County District Attorney today regarding the Florence assault and sodomy of 2 elderly women. Michael Kirkland, who you see on screen here, was arrested Sunday. He is accused of beating and sodomizing a 79 and 76-year-old woman. So stick around for tonight's newscast for the latest Aria has on this story. And 48's Matthew King is still learning as much as he can about the Singing River Trail executive director, John Kavach, who was arrested on 5 counts of possession of child pornography charges and 1 count of dissemination of child pornography. Let's take a listen to Matthew's last update on this story he had yesterday.
Yeah, we ain't doing that every time.
Totally understand. Thank you. John Kavach's family declining to give comment after his Monday morning arrest at their home. He's facing 1 charge for dissemination of child pornography and 5 charges of possession of child pornography. Since his arrest, we've looked into his connections to area nonprofits. He's served as the executive director of Singing River Trail. Board members have since announced they're looking for a new executive director, calling the allegations, quote, unacceptable and reprehensible, end quote. We've also received another statement from the Liberty Learning Foundation, where Kavach worked for 2 years. Leaders of the foundation say they were shocked to learn of his arrest. They said Kavach did not directly work with students and are unaware of any wrongdoings during his time with the foundation. Another group, the Alabama Humanities Alliance, announced they've cut ties with Kavach as well. In a statement, the group says, quote, these criminal allegations are deeply disturbing and the alleged behavior is deplorable, end quote.
Well, thank you, Matthew. And Matthew has been working today to learn more about this story. We'll have updates for you all on this story in just a bit. Now let's head back here. Now in Morgan County, a Decatur lieutenant has recently announced his retirement with full benefits. Now this, of course, who you see on screen here, is Lieutenant Joe Renshaw, who was recently accused of harassing multiple people on social media regarding the shooting death of Steve Perkins. Renshaw says the recent harassment claims he has is not the reason for his retirement. And now, in case you missed it, the U.S. Surgeon General has officially declared gun violence a national health crisis in the United States. Yesterday, 48's Nick Ballinger spoke with a local gun and armory owner, as well as the president of the Alabama NAACP. Let's take a listen.
If you gave every single person in the city of Huntsville 100 guns, that would still only make up about 5% of the total amount of guns in circulation in the country, according to FBI data.
Down.
Recent gun violence has pushed the U.S. Surgeon General to declare guns as a national health crisis,
Put a 300 blackout.
leading him to call for legislation to ban automatic rifles and regulate the industry.
Well, I mean, that's a start. I mean, it's not only that, but that certainly is a start.
Bernard Simulton, president of the Alabama NAACP, says a change in legislation needs to happen.
The best legislation that I think it would have a, certainly a waiting period, gun training that you could go to certify that, hey, I've been through, level 1, how to use a weapon.
But gun owners like Carl Leader, who have been around guns for more than 30 years, believe guns aren't the problem.
Guns don't kill people, the bullets kill people.
Gun sales tend to increase in election years, and Leader says it's part of the problem.
The only reason people run out and buy guns the way they do are because the government will do something stupid and they think, oh no, I've got to go get a gun. Well, they know nothing about it, and that's the worst person to just go get a gun.
Leader calls on people and the state of Alabama to make the change.
I'd say it's more an lack of education. As long as you have a valid state driver's license and money, that's about all it takes. Say you just turned 21 and you want to get your first gun, sort of thing. There really should be some sort of course.
Something Simulton agrees with.
So we need to play a larger role in helping to educate, helping to train, nurture.
Well, thank you, Nick. And tomorrow, June 27th, is National HIV Testing Day, and health leaders here in the state of Alabama are urging people to make sure to get tested. Now, according to the CDC, around 1.2 million Americans are HIV positive, and positive case numbers are rising in the state, according to one health expert for the Alabama Department of Public Health. Her name is Bontrice McGee. Recently, 48's Claudia Peppenhorst spoke with McGee, and here's a little of what she had to say about National Testing Day. Let's listen.
National Testing Day is when we emphasize the importance of HIV testing and knowing your HIV status. This year's theme, Level Up Your Self-Care, Check Your Status, encourages us to get tested to show that we value, respect, and have compassion for ourselves by taking care of our health and our wellness.
Thank you. Very important stuff there. And another story, in case you missed it earlier, the first phase of a huge Ditto Landing development here in Huntsville is now complete. Now they are waiting for the city's approval to take the next step. 48's Sarah Grace Kennedy has the latest on the new project at Ditto Landing.
A music venue at Ditto Landing has been a long-awaited project by the community. One of the last impediments slowing the project progress was the lack of access to the venue area. To help move the project along, the city of Huntsville installed a new road and access point to the State Docks area. Once this venue opens, people will be able to attend concerts, host weddings, and enjoy watching the sunset.
This is going to be kind of a culmination of several elements, one of which would be kind of a music venue, and the other would be just kind of a place where people can go to the river and sit down and enjoy maybe a beverage and a sandwich and just view the river. And the other aspect of it is just, there's going to hopefully be some restaurants down there as well.
Very exciting stuff planned. And now in some national news. Tomorrow marks the first presidential debate of this election year between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez reports on one day until the debate. Let's listen.
This morning, a day before the historic debate between President Biden and former President Trump, there are new signs the Republican ticket could be set faster than expected.
We'll make a decision fairly soon, and I think people will be very happy with this decision.
4 sources familiar with the situation tell NBC News there have been high-level discussions about moving the timeline for announcing Trump's pick for vice president to as early as this week to make a splash. Among the top contenders, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senators J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, all expected to be here in Atlanta for Thursday night's debate. All at some point have criticized their possible running mate. Burgum, last year as a presidential candidate, said he wouldn't do business with Trump.
I just think that it's important that you're judged by the company you keep, and
You just wouldn't do business with him?
No, I wouldn't.
This was Vance back in 2016.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
And this was Rubio in 2016 when he ran for president against Trump.
What we are dealing with here, my friends, is a con artist.
Ahead of the debate, Trump and his allies are ramping up their attacks on President Biden, accusing him, without evidence, of planning to use performance-enhancing drugs tomorrow.
Hey, he'll come out all jacked up, right? All jacked up.
The Biden campaign firing back, saying Donald Trump is so scared of being held accountable for his toxic agenda that he and his allies are resorting to desperate, obviously false lies. Meanwhile, President Biden's team is trying to win over moderate Republican voters by announcing overnight the endorsement of former Illinois Congressman and frequent Trump critic Adam Kinzinger.
It's because of my unwavering support for democracy that today, as a proud conservative, I'm endorsing Joe Biden for re-election.
Also this morning, results from closely watched House primaries. Overnight, Jamal Bowman, the controversial progressive Democrat from New York, a fierce critic of Israel, losing his race. While in Colorado, outspoken Trump supporter Lauren Boebert winning after switching districts.
Well, thank you, Gabe. And also staying on the topic of the presidential debate, today I got the chance to welcome back to 48 Now former poli-sci and history professor at schools like Calhoun Community College, Alabama A&M, and UAH. His name was Dr. Wayman Burke. I sat down with Dr. Burke and got some of his thoughts and expertise. Now let's listen to what he had to say about the debate. Things might look a little bit different since the two candidates debated back in 2020.
Correct.
What would you say has changed in this country in the past 4 years?
Well, obviously a lot of things have occurred. I think probably the most significant political issue that's really different is inflation. Of course, the border issue has been with us. Another important issue is, of course, the Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade. How all three of those issues impact the electorate will be very important in who prevails in this in November.
Very true. And would you, or even could you, compare this debate to any historical American presidential debate in the past?
Well, it may be. Former President Trump has, in debates, he's boisterous, so to speak, more so than any candidate I've ever seen. Probably more so in the Republican primary debates in 2016. Where he basically mocked and ridiculed his opponents, and even at one point in one debate said he would not support the Republican nominee unless it was him. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what his demeanor is. Does he attack Biden? How does Biden respond? As I noted earlier, Biden sometimes seems to freeze up or whatever. And I don't think either one of them are. I think both of them are smart people in their own way. Don't get me wrong. Trump has of course, a career in broadcasting with his television show, The Apprentice, and he is. So it'll be interesting to see how this matchup is. But they did debate in 20, and I guess it's according to who you ask is who did the best, and that'll probably be this time. You know, the Democrats are going to say Biden did, and the Republicans are going to say Trump did. So that's the way the game is played.
A great conversation today, full of insight into this debate and election year. Now, the full 48 Now interview has not quite been published yet on our website, but it'll be up shortly, so make sure to keep an eye out for that at WAFF.com. You'll just go to the 48 Now section and you will find that interview when it gets posted. Honestly, probably within the next hour. And on the topic of politics, the Alabama Democratic Party claims it's being discriminated against and undermined by the Democratic National Committee. Recently, Julia Avant with WSFA in Montgomery sat in at a news conference yesterday morning. Let's take a listen.
No other state in the nation had all of their delegates appointed and taken out of the hands of the electorate and appointed to some unknown people.
They appointed some blacks, but that didn't purify.
We don't have to give up our constitutional right to vote. And they can nullify it by simply appointing some blacks.
The chairman of the Alabama Democratic Party says appointed delegates don't accurately represent the 70% of black Democratic voters in Alabama. He says it's a racial issue from the top of the party.
This immoral, unethical, racist, low-down, dirty appointment of delegates by some people who most of them don't live in the state of Alabama must be challenged.
Very interesting. And now a quite interesting story I saw today. NBC's Dylan Payne has the story about one distillery in Hickman County, Kentucky that aged their spirits unlike anywhere else on the river. So let's take a listen to that as well.
O.H. Ingram River Aged Whiskey is the only company in the world who ages their bourbon on a river. And it's not just because they're the same Ingrams as the Barge Company.
About 70% of any aged spirit comes from the wood. That flavor profile is coming from the wood itself. So if you can find a way to make your barrels work harder, you're going to get more character and depth out of your whiskey.
That's master mixer Scott Beyer. He says storing barrels inside of a barge has some unique characteristics. For them, it started around 2017, but the concept of bourbon on barges goes back a long time. They're just trying to bring it back.
They used to take this distillate, put it into barrels, send it down the Mississippi River on flat boats, and it would end up in New Orleans. And so he thought, well, you know, we have the resources to be able to test this out and see if you could still do it today. And he tried it, and guess what? It worked. So we just kept on doing it.
Temperature fluctuations and the constant movement of the river plays a significant role in the flavor profile of what they're producing in Columbus, Kentucky.
And so obviously you have constant movement, so you see more interaction between whiskey and oak. We have huge diurnal shifts, which are your day and nighttime temperatures. As you can tell, it's 10 a.m. It's pretty hot in here already. But that, you know, tonight, once the sun goes down, the river's going to pull all this heat out, and it's probably going to drop 40, 50 degrees. So for the maturation process, the whiskey expanding into the wood when it's hot and then contracting when it gets cold, that's the maturation cycle.
Very interesting. Now let's head into stories you're just not going to want to miss. The latest on a missing woman in Huntsville, the latest on WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, how to use social media safely and responsibly, and an incredible story of a Summerville, Georgia athlete making the U.S. Olympic team. These are all stories you're just not going to want to miss. And now it is time for Facebook fun. So let's pull up today's question on Facebook. What is your favorite scent? And there are quite a bit of really awesome scents out there, I must say. I think I really like, here in the summertime, I really like the smell of freshly cut grass. That is one of my favorite scents. But let's see what you all had to say. Sure enough, Jenny agrees with me. She said fresh cut grass. Jenny, you have a great nose. You know what is up. You knows what is up. Jenny, thank you for commenting. Eileen said Christmas trees and wreaths. Absolutely. There is nothing better than the fresh smell of a brand new Christmas tree. Love it. Thank you for commenting. And Kendra Kirby said the beach. Cannot go wrong with the beach. Amazing smells there. But thank you all for commenting, and that is all the time I have today in Before the Four. I want to thank you all for sticking around and spending a little bit of your afternoon with me. If you haven't done so already, download the 48 digital app and the 48 First Alert weather app and get all the breaking news delivered directly to you. But with that said, it is about time we end this thing, and of course, thank you for watching. You all have a great night.